So here's the first video in a series of videos that I'm going to do on what is normal movement in our body, what is to be expected when it comes to how much movement we have or the quality of movement. So we're going to start with the wrist and the forearm. In order to function normally, depending on the activity, it requires us to have a certain degree or a certain amount of mobility and a certain amount of joint, we'll call it wiggle ability or joint mobility. So if we start with the wrist, the first thing that happens to happen in any joint is, Jenny, if I have you go down like this, I need to be able, for a normal joint, to push her wrist farther than she can push her itself. So you can see that's about as far as she can bend it. Normal joints, I can take it further, sorry.
Okay.
I can take it further. That's normal, that's what's supposed to happen. So really when it comes to most of our function, this motion is called wrist extension. That's a little bit more important for our day-to-day lives when it comes to pushing ourselves off the floor, opening doors, pushing something, whatever it is. So when it comes to wrist extension, how much do we need? Well, we need at least 60 to 80 degrees, depending on the activity. But Jenny, if you go up like this, I should be able to load that together. So she's got closer to 90 degrees. And I should be able to load that with without pain and with extra movement on top of that. So that's number one. Number two, this motion here is called supination and pronation. Okay, so Jenny, go ahead and supinate. So a normal amount of supination is without her substituting with her wrist or her elbow or shoulder, we should be able to have 90 degrees in both ways. So she should have her palms facing straight up and palms facing straight down. Here's an example of somebody who doesn't have good supination. And so if I want to get to 90 degrees, I have to make up for it with my shoulder, my elbow. So I'm kind of in the bad category in that sense. So I would say especially this supination is important because, like I said, if she doesn't have that, she'll start making up for it. And she'll start doing stuff like this, and then her shoulder will hurt. And then she'll go to her doctor with shoulder pain, and they'll look at the shoulder, and really there's nothing wrong with the shoulder. The problem happened to be down here. So that's why it's important for physical therapy to kind of look at the whole body and really assess that. So let's say she didn't have 90 degrees of supination here, and she started making up for it. One of the things that might be limiting that is the joint mobility between the two bones in her forearm here. So there's easy ways for us as physical therapists to assess that and assess the wiggle ability of those bones. I don't have to do that to Jenny because she's got just fine. But those are things that we would look at. So those are two things that are important. 60 plus degrees of wrist extension, maybe even more than that, especially more when I load it together like this. 90 degrees of supination. Check on yourself and see if you have it.